So hi, everyone. My name is Dan Bromberg. I'm the Director of Academic Programs for the Carsey School of Public Policy. I'm joined by my colleague, Sanjeev Sharma. And the two of us will be giving you a short presentation on how to create and submit a successful application to graduate school. We'll also be answering any questions that you have throughout. And just to let you know, most of this is applicable, across graduate school. We're not simply talking about our programs, but we will give you a brief highlight of the programs that we offer. And just to give you a bit of the lay of the land, on the bottom, you have typically a Q&A option on the bottom of your screen, and you also have a chat box. You're welcome to use those. Our colleague, Robin Husledge, will be looking at questions and any comments that you have, and we'll deal with them after the presentation. So feel free to populate that area with any questions or comments, and then we'll try to address them as they come up at the end. So I will get going right ahead here. So first, we want to make the distinction. When you're applying to graduate school, there's a difference between an undergraduate versus a graduate application. We don't think about grad school as a continuation of college, right? Classes are smaller, work is more focused, there's more research and writing, and it's less handholding, right? You're working with your faculty. Your faculty are often seen as facilitators rather than deliverers of your knowledge. So admission teams aren't necessarily looking at the same thing. Success in undergraduate education doesn't necessarily predict success in graduate education, although it often can be related. But rather than high school grades or your high school standing, your SAT scores, your essays, we're looking at a bit more of the whole person here, right? So we're looking at your letters of reference. We're looking at personal statements, your essays, right? And that not only gives us an idea of what you're interested in, but it also gives us an idea of your ability to write, which is something that we pay attention to. We're looking at your resume to examine work experience, any extracurricular involvement. Sometimes we look at interviews. Sometimes we look at we'll look at your transcripts and any other entrance exams that are required. I mean, obviously, depending on the type of program, there'll be different entrance exams. So transcripts and GPA. So most schools require your original transcripts from the accredited universities that you attended. So make sure that you're checking to ensure that you do have those original transcripts. Some schools require that you send them directly to that university, so it can't come from you. Some schools do not. So make sure that you check your school's requirements. And then I would also say request those transcripts on the earlier side, because depending on the university you're requesting them from, they may take longer than other universities. And then your GPA. Your GPA is important, right? But obviously it's a piece of that whole package. It's not the entire package. Typically, at least at Carsey, we're thinking around a 3.0. But that changes. And that really, it depends what it accompanies. And we'll get into that in a little bit later. Your letters of references. So depending on the type of program, we have professional programs, we have a more academic program. The type of reference you get is really important. So you could have professional references. So those would be people that you work with, maybe a boss or a supervisor, potentially a place where you did an internship, possibly as an undergrad, something like that would work well. Then we're also looking for those academic references. So a faculty member, professor who you've had a good relationship with, that you've performed well in their classes. Maybe you've taken them for more than one class, so they could speak a bit more about your character as well as your academic performance. A couple pointers on this, we would say ask early. Faculty get busy. And application deadlines tend to be around the same time. So if they're giving references for a number of students, that's going to back up on them. So the earlier you get into that queue, the more advantageous that would be for you. And then the second point that we'd make here is to just have a backup. While all faculty are probably good intentioned and try to get those letters out for you, things happen, things come up. and they don't always come together. So it's always good to have that backup reference in there and ready to go so that you could respond to your application. And if a committee writes to you and says, hey, we never received this reference, you'll have one on the ready to go. So the different entrance exams. Typically, we're thinking about GREs, your GMATs, law school admission tests, so the LSAT or the MCAT. Each of these are important for the different types of programs that you're applying to. And obviously, they test based on the needs for those particular programs. The GRE is a pretty broad standard as far as graduate entrance exams, and most programs are familiar and accept that GRE. However, if you're going into a more specific type of program, so for example, law school or medical school, both the MCAT and the LSAT are going to be requirements. At the Carsey School, we do have a dual degree with the law school, and we accept the LSAT in lieu of the GRE if you happen to be one of those dual degree seeking students. And then business schools typically do look at that GMAT. The GMAT is going to be a bit more heavy on the quantitative side of things. So know your program's requirements, determine when tests are offered, and allow time to prepare for the exam. If you don't have time to prepare, you're going to feel really caught off guard when you need to sit down for that test. And know that admissions teams know that students test differently, and certainly standardized tests are not the entire indication of the potential of a student. So personal statements. Personal statements are an extremely important part of an application. Tell us about yourself. Tell us how you fit with the particular program that you're looking into. Describe how you're going to contribute to that program. And be sure to convey your passion for that program or that field that you're applying to. Typically, we like to see these in a relatively concise manner, so 500 words. Make sure that they're grammatically correct, that there are no typos, right? So not only is it what you say in the personal statement, but it's how that personal statement is written. And, to see a statement that is full of typos or grammatical errors really indicates a level of, how prudent or careful an applicant is doing. And admissions committees will read into that and they'll think, well, okay, is this a demonstration of how the student's going to perform? So be careful with them, be thoughtful with them, be passionate in them, and know that it's not just what you say, but it's the manner in which it's written that admissions committees are examining. The resume. So the resume really depends on the type of program that you're applying to. So, for example, we have two programs that look at resumes carefully. We have a Master's of Public Administration, which is more of a mid-career professional program, and a Master's of Community Development, which also is the same, catering towards that mid-career professional. So, for example, if you came in with a GPA of a 2.7 or a 2.8 in the MPA program, but for the last 20 years, you've been having increasing managerial experience in your resume, we're going to weight that differently than if you've been at an entry level for 15 years of your career. So depending on the type of program, the resume really does differentiate students. And Sanjeev, I don't know if you want to say anything about the resume in relation to the MCD program or Community Development Program.
Yes, I want to say a few things about the entire application process for our specific program. So I'll just wait until you're done.
Okay. So funding comes across in a number of different ways, right? I'll start with the that middle point there: school finance aid office, financial aid office. So obviously there are federal loans and there are private loans, and often the University Financial Aid Office can help you navigate that. Typically, you could get these locked in at certain rates to keep your costs down, but it's not an uncommon way to try to fund grad school through both federal and private loans. The point below that, external financial aid opportunities. There are a number of opportunities out there through either grants for students, external scholarships for students. And the financial aid office can help you navigate that, but some of that work and that legwork is done on your own. And then let me jump up to the top. There are a number of different types of scholarships, fellowships, and partnership programs that universities offer. At the Carsey School, we offer tuition scholarships. We offer research fellowships. And we have a number of partnering organizations, City or Peace Corps, AmeriCorps, NeighborWorks, the City of Concord, and a number of other cities throughout the region. Look at these partnership pages on the website. Look at the funding pages. If there's an application deadline, like there is for the Carsey School, make sure you're getting that application in. Often these are separate from your typical application, from your admittance application. So make sure you're seeing all the funding opportunities and you're getting there. So part of this process is developing that checklist for yourself, knowing what you need, knowing when you need to submit it by, and getting that submitted, right? So get the plan going early. Ask for those references early, take those exams early, make sure that you're checking off those boxes as you go through the process. And that checklist, will be your best friend as you're going through this process. You'll see when and where you've done everything. You'll be able to keep track of everything. So if a graduate admissions office ever picks up the phone or ever emails you and says, hey, we didn't get this from you, you'll know exactly when and where you delivered it, or when and where you might have it, and then you could send it to them right away. Another important point is to get connected. Certainly all the folks on this webinar, so myself, Sanjeev, and Robin at the Carsey School, we're here to help you. So reach out to us, reach out to other schools, build relationships with people in those schools, talk to faculty members, talk to the staff, talk to other students. I know one thing that a lot of our potential students like to do is they like to visit our classes. And we love having students visit our classes. So they'll visit a class, they might meet with a current student, potentially meet with an alumni. So all of those opportunities are in your benefit and ultimately give you a better sense of the program that you're applying to. And then find the right program for you, right? So all of these, tips that we're giving along the way, they don't really matter if you're not finding the program that works for you. Give yourself enough time. Examine the range of programs out there. Examine if there are other programs that are similar. Examine if location's important to you, or if type of faculty is important to you. I know one of the things that we pride ourselves on at Carsey is that we have a lot of professional faculty members, so practitioners that are in the field, doing the work in both the policy world, the development world, the management world. And for us, that's a really important component of our curriculum. So if things like that are important to you, you need to do that due diligence to understand. If you prefer a more academically rigorous program, and you want faculty that are all full-time academics, well, then you need to look for that type of program. And typically, speaking with people and connecting is going to give you a bit of that understanding. So just briefly, I'm going to hit on our academic programs. I won't spend too much time on this, and I'll allow you guys to ask questions, and Sanjeev could jump in whenever, Sanjeev, you want to jump in. So just to give you a sense, we do offer 4 different academic programs. One of them is a dual degree program, like I mentioned earlier, the Juris Doctorate, so the law school and the MPP. But then we offer a master's in public policy, a master's in public administration, and a master in community development. And each of them, they're all focused towards public service in some way, shape, or form. But they focus on a slightly different part of the public policy or public management process. So the Master in Public Policy, it trains leaders to make change happen, I would say, right? You learn policy skills and analysis, and importantly, you learn strategic and communication skills. So often students understand those the basis of analytical skills. They're steeped in quantitative methods. However, they're not able to communicate those their findings in an effective way. So one of the things we focus on in our public policy program is teaching students how to not only do those analytical tasks, but then communicate those tasks and those findings in an extremely strategic manner. It requires 40 credits. There are 5 core courses. And the highlights that our students typically say are their experiential learning opportunities. Our students go to Washington, D.C. for a week. They have 25 meetings within a 5-day period. They meet with policymakers across the board. So everything from members of Congress, both part of the New Hampshire delegation and others, to folks that are in governmental affairs in the private sector, to advocacy organizations, and truthfully, everything in between. It's a pretty exceptional week in Washington, D.C. Our students work extremely hard while they're there. They build connections, they build their network, and it's a great opportunity. And then both the internship experience and the capstone project provide additional opportunities for our students to engage with practitioners in the field and experts in the field. Our Master's in Public Administration looks less at the policy development and communication side of the shop and much more at the implementation side of the shop. Our classes include real world experience, real world practitioners, and it allows students to build networks within the classroom that are quite exceptional. I always like to say that most of your learning is done through your colleagues, right? Whereas your faculty simply allow that facilitation and that learning to happen. They create environments for that learning. But you're learning from your colleagues in the classroom. You're building that network with your colleagues in the classroom. Public administration program is a 36 credit program. There are 4 required courses. There are 3 advanced core courses. And up on the screen, you can see a couple maps of how students finish this. Typically, we're thinking about 16 months to about 21 months or 24 months, 2 years. We build the program out in such a way that there are online courses, there are 8-week courses, and there are full semester courses. So it truly is a hybrid program where there's both experiences within the classroom and experiences online in a number of different formats. I'm going to turn it over to Sanjeev to talk a bit about the Master's of Community Development, and if you want to add anything else there about the application process that you were talking about.
Sure. Well, the first thing I want to talk about the application process is like Dan said, the transcripts, UNH requires all transcripts to be sent directly by the university. So if you have transcripts that need to be sent to the university as part of the application, then those need to be sent directly by the institutions. So that's one thing I wanted to add. And then the other thing was, in terms of all 3 Carsey programs, what we're looking for in an application is what Dan just said. We're looking at the application package as a whole, right? So, after all, this is a graduate level. It is a graduate program, so we are looking at your transcripts as part of that's part of the application, but that's not the only thing we're looking at. We're looking at the references, and we're looking at the personal statements. So, if anybody has concerns about their transcripts that they did several years ago, and it was a long time ago, then you have just making the right choices in terms of choosing your referees, those who can speak about your abilities. And normally what happens when you do an application is once you put in your referees' contact information, their emails, their names and their emails, an automatic message is generated and sent to them, and that comes with a form that they need to complete, and they can also upload. I would also recommend telling your referees to, besides completing that form, also send in a letter to strengthen what they're saying about you. That particular form has different points, like assess the students' academic ability, their communication skills, and things like that. So if there are people make sure that you choose people who are able to speak on those things, right? So I know there was a question about, I think there's a question right now, and this is a question that comes very often, is I've been away from college, I don't have three academic references, right? Or I don't have an academic reference. Well, can I use all professional references? You can, right? The best would be a mixture of both academic and professional references, because they speak to two different strengths that you have. One can speak more academically, the other one speaking your to your work and commitment, that sort of skills. Then um, if in a case where you find yourself where you don't have an academic reference, or it's been a long time that you've been out of college, and you won't be able to get one, then I would suggest things like, mm, you try to find somebody. I know maybe you've taken a professional workshop, or a training, somebody who can at least speak a little bit about your student ability. I think that's just to give a strength, just to give a flavor of how you are as a student as well. So that's one thing that I would like to say, mm, have in mind. Choose your referees well. um, and then the other thing about the personal statement, right? So the personal statement is, mm, if you ask me, I mean, all um, materials, all the other materials in an application are equally important, and we give equal value. But if you were to ask me what is the single most important thing, I'd probably say the personal statement, right? And then the personal statement is, the reason is because, just like Dan said, tell us how you fit into the program. Tell us why, uh, why we should consider you accepting into the program. Uh, what your passion, what drives you, what motivates you. There's all three Carsey degrees are public service degrees, right? So I think the key thing is to tell us what motivates you for a career in public service, right? So, and why you want to be in the program more so than what you know. How does why is it that you want to do a public service? It's clearly you have the passion, you have the interest in social issues. So show us that, right? So that's one part, and the other part is how you fit into the program, and what you attempt to gain from the program. How is this program going to help you in your goal to do a public service career, to have a public service career? And then the other thing is, at this the thing is, how can you contribute, right? And again, without any pressure of saying, okay, I must contribute something. No, it's not that. But what is it? There's so much learning that happens within among students, because we get students who are fresh out of college, and as well as students who've had uh, 20 plus experience, right? So, but each one contributes a lot of things, right? Even students who fresh out of college, they have a different perspective, and so they bring so much into, without actually knowing it. So kind of just letting us know how you what is it that you can bring, and uh, is important, right? So what I would say, besides just checking your grammar and checking this, is think through this process. Tell us your story. Share it with a family, with a friend. The personal statement that you've written, and have somebody just look at it, just read it, and again, make it concise. Tell us, don't write too much, 500 words, a page and a half at the most. So that I think is really, really important. And then the other thing is the resume part, especially if you have, uh, a, you know, the resume is, especially if you have been away from, or if you had your academics are not really strong, and then that's when the resume also really helps for us to understand you, as a student. So even though, like, for example, the MPA program might not require a resume, I would suggest, including it, just because there is no harm, and just lets us know you better. So, that's what I want to say about, specific to Carsey applications. And this is true with all three programs. And uh, we're preparing you for a public service career, and so the whole package, your application, we look at your application as a way for us to see how we can help you become successful at not just the program, but in preparing you uh, for a career in public service. So that's the way that I think the review committees view the applications for all three uh, Carsey programs. All right, and then so the Master in Community Development is again, this particular degree is about creating impact. You are going in the community and working with people in the community, and uh, what the way we do that is through the Capstone project, which is uh, you know having, it's a series of four project related courses, and where design, implement, uh, where you design and do problem analysis. You come up with a solutions analysis. You do a very detailed problem analysis before you actually um, to come up with a module for how you want to implement the project. The whole fall course is actually devoted to detailed problem analysis, and then the end of that is when you come up with your module of how you want to implement things. So, and then in the spring is when you actually go and implement some of those activities. So it's very hands-on, and you are, it's very, you are really involved in the community and making direct impact. So what is, it's a 36 credit interdisciplinary program. We're talking about development as a whole, not just we don't look at one issue. Things like environment and health, especially now, right? Anything community development needs to be looked at different angles, like the environment, the effects of the environment, the public health, and income, and asset management, and also all these different things are education, all those different things. So that's how we look at all these different angles to make this an interdisciplinary program. Now, there are 9 required courses. And 3 electives where you choose where you want to do. If you were looking at, concentrating your focus on one particular issue, then you might, you can do that, or you can mix and match and take one course from one field and another course from the other field. So you have that flexibility, and then besides the 9. The and the Capstone project is a series of 4 Capstone project.
Awesome. Thank you, Sanjeev. So yeah, it's definitely, I mean, I think as Sanjeev said, centered around this idea of the Capstone project, right? Which is can take place throughout your entire time during the community development experience, which is quite different from our other two programs. So just to summarize, so transcript, personal statement, 3 letters of recommendation, resume, test scores, and application fee. These are the things that you put together for that application. Our deadlines are as follows. So we have a summer deadline of April 15th. It says we've actually modified that to May 1st. Because of everything that is taking place right now. So that's been extended a couple weeks. For our fall deadline, we have an August 15th deadline. However, I'll note that the preference is for July 15th, meaning a little bit earlier is super helpful. And then spring is December 15th. And what I'll say is that, each of our programs allows students to enter at various times. While there are certainly courses that are more helpful to start with, none of them are restrictive, and you could enter at any point throughout the year whenever time is ready for you to enter. We're welcoming you to come, and we're happy to work with you to get you up to speed wherever you need to be to roll in, whether it be summer, fall, or spring. Those are all possibilities. So please visit us at carsey.unh.edu. If you have any other questions, you're more than welcome to reach out to any one of us, either myself, Sanjeev, or Robin. What I'll do now is I'll stop sharing my screen and I'll just open it up to Q&A. And I'm going to ask Robin to help facilitate any questions that have come through. So we'll go ahead with that, and we're happy to answer anything else that you have.
Hey, a few more questions came in, Dan. One is, if I've taken some graduate courses, can I transfer them into one of the Carsey grad programs? And if so, how many?
Yep, great question. So so you could transfer up to 6 credits, I believe. Sanjeev, is that the check that you have, right?
You can transfer up to 2 courses actually. So that's the external transfer. 2 courses up to 8 credits, but because we have 6, we have each of our courses are 3 credits. It would be 2 courses.
Yeah, so in total, it would be 2 external courses. If they were taken at UNH, that number does shift up. But if they're outside of UNH, you could transfer them. 2 of those courses will accept. And our programs run off of a 3-credit system. So that would be how that works. And basically what you would do is you would share the syllabus with one of us. Of those courses, we would evaluate them, see what they transfer in as, and then process it that way.
Yeah, there's one other thing. So if you're transferring courses, it has to be, of course, at the graduate level, right, from a accredited institution. And then the other thing is it cannot be used if you use those courses to earn another degree then that you cannot use courses that you've taken to earn another degree. For example, if you say, "Oh, I'm negotiation strategies. Oh, I took that when I did my MBA." Then if you earn your MBA, then you wouldn't be able to transfer that, right? You might be able to say, all right, so if negotiations is a required course here, then you might say, well, I've already done negotiations. I may want to substitute that, but you would still require, to have completed the 36 credits. You wouldn't be able to waive out of the 3 credits. So there is that difference.
Thank you, Sanjeev and Dan. Another question is how are applications submitted to the UNH graduate school? Is everything done online, or do you have to mail stuff in?
Yeah, there's an online application. Go ahead, Sanjeev.
Yes. So if you go to any one of our academic programs website, then you will see, if you hit the apply button, then you are directed to the graduate school webpage where you can apply there. So you can complete an application. It's an online application, and once you submit that online application has places where you can upload your resume, your personal statement, and then provide the links to or the contact information of your referees. And then, like I said earlier, automatic emails are generated from that website to go to your referees. The only thing that we would need externally is the transcript, which, of course, UNH accepts e-transcript. So most universities, if your university is one of those that issues e-transcripts, then we can accept that as well. But again, it has to come directly from the university to the graduate school.
Great. Another question came in saying, I have not yet taken the GRE. Would I still be able to apply, or should I wait to apply until testing centers open once again?
So if I could follow up, Milana, is that it? Milana, would you mind just sharing in that chat box which program you're thinking about applying to? And why that matters? I mean, so two of our programs do not require the GRE. Neither the MPA program nor the Masters of Community Development require the GRE. And considering the current situation, it's quite possible we would waive that requirement based on the different student and their needs for the MPP program. So what I would do is I would encourage you to reach out to one of us, kind of talk about your situation and your current scenario. We would probably ask for a copy of your transcript. And, if that's a decent enough indication, it's possible that we would waive that requirement. So what I would go ahead and get your application started and moving along, and one of us could be in contact with you. But if you hold off, then it really just puts it, you're just waiting, and that doesn't really make much sense. I would rather take a look at it and try to help you out as fast as we can.
Great. I think that's all the questions that we have here.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, everyone, for joining us and tuning in. Thank you, Sanjeev, for taking some time out of your day and helping us out. And Robin, thank you as well. And in the background, we have Nick Gosling, who's been setting these up for us on a regular basis. So just want to acknowledge and thank Nick for all the work that he does. So we appreciate everyone signing on, and we will have a number of these rolling out. So keep an eye on the Carsey website. And we're going to keep popping these out to help you all figure out if grad school makes sense for you, what type of research might make sense for you, or anything else along those lines. So we look forward to seeing more people on here. Take care.
All right. Thank you.